All right, guys. This is the Broadcast Braddahs. I'm Justin Faisongo. This is Jonah Holova. And today we are very, very fortunate and lucky to have one of the best, Manutea Millon, sitting at the table. You are kind of a full circle thing that's happened here. So 3 years ago, our first episode was with Steve. And it was kind of a wild dream that Joe and I had. And here we are 3 years later. We just came off of an unreal race. We watched you do unbelievable things. Joe and I are still amped about the whole thing. And this is your second time for the third race. You were here for the second race as well. Yep. And man, I just got to say, man,
we're amped that he's here. He's
right?
Here with us.
Yeah.
You know, he gets to talk about it. So.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about. We want to start some race footage right away, or you want to just start, kind of get into the flow, or what do we think?
Again, congratulations. I mean, that was.
Thank you.
That finish, Justin and I talked about it. Like, of all the Catalinas we've seen, the Va'a California Series races, that finish, just the last. We're talking about it earlier. The last 7 miles. I mean, you and Kyle were dancing partners the whole time, but
21 miles.
Yeah, but to see that kind of finish coming into the harbor was just amazing. It was. We're gonna get into all that. It was very exciting, and why not? Let's. I'm sure our viewers already saw the race, but yeah, let's. We'd love to pull up some race footage and get into the mind of Manutea.
Yeah. So I was able to upload the last about hour and 10 minutes here, and we'll get into it. So what we're looking at here, this is just about, half a mile before the rocks. We're closing in on the wedge. Kyle took an inside line on you, and Joe and I have this kind of conversation at this point about what is Manutea going to do? Is he going to come out? Is he, what's his plan? We guessed. We were all wrong, probably. So I want you to walk us through this, if you don't mind.
First of all, I want to know what you guys were guessing.
Well, okay, so my guess was so do you remember about half a mile before this point?
I remember that part. So
that pier, right? I was thinking that you were going to make the move to separate. There's some surf, right? Yep. There's enough. But again, you're going up against a guy like Kyle, right? You're going up against a guy like Kyle. Yep. And, of course, he's world-class like you are. I'm kind of speaking from the mind of, like, paddling here in California, where it's like, hey, I'm surfing with someone. And I think I even said this on the call, like, hey, if I can surf and I'm confident in my surfing ability, I'm going to try and surf away. But then we kind of learned, gauging off our speed, you guys are holding, I know you guys are kilometers, we're miles per hour, but I don't know that conversion, but you guys are holding a really good speed, like 8-9 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. And so the fact that Kyle was still in range and, you would make a move and he would play cat and mouse, you guys are both playing cat and mouse back and forth. I was kind of thinking like, well, maybe Manutea isn't going to surf away, but I don't know. We have you here at the table. So what was going on?
Yeah. So what was the last pier? Was that Balboa Pier?
Yeah, Balboa Pier. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So on arrival, we did surf was pretty straight all the way to the beginning of the harbor. So I was trying to pull away at the beginning, but every time that I was watching behind, I could see that Kai was still in the same distance. So I was thinking already about inside the harbor, what's going to happen if I'm burning everything now. So I was pretty much trying to save energy. And because the canoe that I had wasn't my canoe, so I didn't know how to paddle on it. I wasn't surfing as good as on my Viper. So I had to figure out like how to save energy just in case. Because I know Kai is a super strong paddler. And not having my canoe, not having my marks on it. So I was like, I need to figure out how to save and get that extra energy just to stay as a leader.
And then, before the race, did you kind of have any insight or intel on Kyle's fitness? I mean, I know we were talking earlier, he had a really good 2024.
But wait. Let's talk about paddling out to the starting line, because you were in a different canoe paddling out to the starting line.
Yeah, so that's the main thing, is because our canoes got stuck at customs,
Right.
because
Yep.
they had electronic issues, so nothing was going out on of customs. They are still stuck over there. So lucky Danny helped us to get canoes, because we're here, so we're not just gonna watch the race. We want to race.
Yeah.
And we talked with Alex, which is the boss of Viper, and it was like, yeah, we're athletes at first, so we're gonna race. Doesn't matter what canoe, but we're gonna race still.
And that's amazing.
Yeah.
So thanks to him, because he's got a really good mindset. And so Danny provided us pretty much 4 canoes, which is Blue Tehuri Tower, Fei 4SI, Fei 3X, and Ari. And so obviously Tehuri Tower is the only canoe that I knew so far. So I tried that one, but the foot brace was too short. So I paddled with the Tehuri Tower all the way out to the start line, but my legs were already sore, and my lower back too.
Right
So
away.
I waited for Tetahiu, that was on the 4SI,
Yeah.
and I asked him if he would like to swap with me. So we pretty much swapped, and 20 seconds or less than 20 seconds after, they did the start. So I was like, okay,
Oh,
right
my
on the
goodness.
canoe, boom, let's go.
Yeah.
So I was just trying to figure out how to paddle that canoe, and that canoe was super huge for me and wide. Like
Yeah, it's a big canoe.
Yeah,
Yep.
super big for a guy like me.
Oh, the Phi.
Phi
The 4SI
4SI.
is wide, yeah.
So that's the
Interesting.
first time you've ever been in it.
I raced during the Sprint World Championship.
Okay.
But that was just for 500 meters.
Okay.
Yeah.
And without foot brace, and
Yeah.
so it's not really trying.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, man, that's even
Yeah.
crazier.
I mean, just
wilder.
yeah. I mean, it just goes to show your paddling ability, right? It's just. I mean, like we were saying on the call, it's like like guys like them, they're gonna make a banana look fast.
I know. Put them on a park bench.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay. But did you? So going into this race, right? Your competition. Did you have any insight on Kyle?
I didn't know Kai was here until we did the race briefing in the morning.
Yeah,
So I wasn't really
the late
taking care of
flight
it. So I was
in.
like, oh, it doesn't matter what canoe. And then I saw Kai, and I was like, he's here, and he's the man to beat, because he won pretty much all big races last year. But I also know that it's just the beginning of the season, and he's not peaking yet.
Okay.
So I was like, kind of didn't know where he was, like in terms of level. So I was like, is he fit yet, or is it close to the peak or whatever? So that was pretty much a surprise during the race.
Wow.
But
So
he was there, like he wasn't far, and he was pretty much fighting with me the whole way. So it was a good race, good fight.
so you went in pretty kind of open-minded. It sounds like,
Yeah,
right? You
pretty much.
You had a new canoe, right? You tried it 20 seconds before
And
the
I was
horn went
like-
off.
Like not putting any pressure too, because it's not my canoe. I don't know the course properly, because last year was cloudy and I didn't see anything, and not the same conditions. So I didn't know really what to do. So I knew just by checking the forecast what line I was gonna pick, what after an hour where I want to be, so that kind of thing. But yeah.
Speaking of pressure, we even talked about it, right? Like the kind of pressure that Kyle was putting on you throughout the day.
Yeah.
But your body language, your technique, the way you went up, you didn't really seem that pressured to me.
Well, I felt good during the race physically, because I prepared myself properly for that one, just in case. So every time that car was coming, I was able to pull away again and put a gap. I won't say easily, but I wasn't pushing too hard. I was using the waves to pull away, and I was able to put a gap and then save again and stay calm at this, like every time pretty much. So that's what I was pretty much doing, like not trying to run away and burn everything, and then because I didn't know how long it would take, where's the harbor or whatever.
Yeah, I think on the call we were saying, I even commented how he looked so patient, right?
Yep.
And not going when he didn't need to, letting him move when he wanted to, or when the surf was going to let him do it. And I think that was the most impressive thing, because you didn't look labored at all. Like you didn't look like you were really, really going after it too hard. I know, every so often Kyle's moving on you and you just kind of respond. And
Well, it didn't look, but I was pushing harder than I should. Like just having a bigger canoe wasn't surfing the same, was harder to jump over the wave and even controlling, because it's wide, so I had to put more angle or whatever.
Right.
So I was just thinking, I wish I had my canoe, I could surf better or whatever.
Yeah.
Comfy.
Yeah.
Bro, do me a favor. So you're talking about Manutea, you're talking plan inside the harbor, but I want to go to. Okay, so we're approaching the jetty,
Yeah.
right? And I even talked about how Kyle had the inside on you, right? And he makes it so it looks like he has the inside on you, and I think you know that. Yep. Right? So right here, he comes up, you guys almost overlap, but you make a move, you surge right before the turnaround.
It's right here, yeah.
And that blew my mind. In my mind, it was like Manutea won the race already.
Yeah, Joe had called it right at this point. He goes, this is going to be enough for Manutea to hold the lead.
Well, it was the mental edge. And I don't know if you feel that way, right? You talked about your training preparation.
Well, I was taking the swell and the wind right before that entrance, and I knew that even if Kai has the inside, I just had to take one wave to come back in the front. So I was just waiting for the right moment to take the lead for the turn.
Yep.
And then as soon as I entered the harbor, I just checked my watch, my GPS to know if the tide was going in or out. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I saw that it was going out, I just
went in.
Stay a little bit in the middle to put Kyle in the middle, and I went in pretty fast.
Okay, you baited him.
So as soon as I went in, I pulled away. I tried to push just to put a gap, and that's pretty much the gap.
That was the main move. Yep.
So I waited for the right moment to use my card.
Mm-hmm. And right there, right, we're about to see it. That was the move that we talked about, right? Yeah. So that was your second move, and to me, it was the first move when you went around the jetty was like, okay, that was a really good sign that he's going to win this race. But then when we can kind of see some wake. It's going to happen soon, right? You kind of go up, but then you also work your way to the inside.
The rocks, yep.
Yeah,
I was more focusing on getting inside. Mm-hmm. That leaderboard was mostly breaking my speed because the wave were too short or whatever. So I was just trying to avoid that to be in the flat.
Yeah.
Just to hold a good speed. That's why I went pretty fast inside. And if you watch, it doesn't look like, but Kai was maybe 2 canoes or 3 canoes on my right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And just that little
right
space.
I mean, as we're speaking, you're making it happen. This was the gap. This was the cushion that you gave yourself.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was one of those things.
Amazing strategy.
It was amazing. Yeah. And at your level, it's at both of your levels, it's like that's what it takes.
Yeah. Well, at the high level, it's every little details that make the difference at the end, like how you save energy, how you preparing on watch your GPS for the current or whatever. So use the elements with you, even if they're against you.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a major treat for us to watch that, and
we commented on a bunch. We haven't seen a race finish this close after 21 miles ever. I don't think, not in Newport.
And how are you feeling energy wise? Are you?
I was tired.
Yeah.
I was tired too.
God, you didn't look tired.
I got prepared for that race, but I'm not peaking too. I just came back from shoulder injury too, so I just starting gym again to kind of build a little bit for the season. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the only thing I was worried was mostly your boat weight.
Yeah,
because I saw one part that Kai surfed behind. I was like, hopefully he's not gonna pass me right before.
We called off the captain because as soon as we saw that, we're like, you got to dump off because you can't give Kyle the wake, and so that's when we dropped the boat and then we crossed over to the other side. I saw that. Yep. We know we get yelled at all the time for that.
I was more worried, like, hopefully he's not gonna pass me on the last kilometer.
Yeah, no.
And so most of your races in Tahiti, it's very similar circumstances, right? Where you're battling with someone for that long of a period of time, right? Would you say?
Yeah. Well, it's always, like I say, small details that make the difference. But there's also the lucky factor. Like, you never know you're on the left and the other one is on the right, and then never know that boat is coming from nowhere and making way for him, and he's just passing you and you need to burn more. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the race, it's that energy that you use that can make the difference.
That sounds like that's paddling, right? There.
Especially in Tahiti, we have a lot of boats, so you need to be aware of that.
Yeah.
I don't know this story, and I would like to know it. Obviously we're talking about the race coverage, but I'm kind of curious to know, how did you get introduced to the Va'a, and how long has it been? Just a quick history on paddling.
Well, my dad was a Va'a champion too. Mm-hmm. He used to be the captain of Team Millennium that won Hawaii Canoe in 2000. So he pretty much introduced me to the sport. I was when I was younger, I was surfing with some of my cousins. And I remember one time I asked my dad for a surfboard, but he didn't buy me a surfboard, so he pretty much bought me a canoe made by Attack. That was a kid canoe. Mm-hmm. So that was my first canoe, and I didn't have any choice pretty much. But just go on the water, paddle, and then 30 minutes later, no, it's not done yet, keep going. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much how I started.
How old were you?
I was 8 years old. Well, I was already paddling a little bit we pretty much started at the same time with Kevin and Rite, because they're my cousin, and we pretty much paddle at the same place. And yeah, it was pretty fun.
Cool.
Where in Tahiti?
In Manutea.
Manutea.
So the place I live, Manutea, Rite is from Manutea. It's my cousin, George Cronstead, Johan Cronstead. We're all from Manutea, and we all live pretty much at the same place.
A lot of champions.
How do you split your time between New Zealand and Tahiti?
Usually I'm spending more times in New Zealand now. I'm trying to lift the level over there and trying to bring all the youngs with me and train them and pretty much show them where's the level at and trying to pull them and make them closer to me. So some of them are doing pretty good, and I'm pretty happy with the results so far, and hopefully we keep growing.
Yeah, the canoe coverage in New Zealand is getting a lot better. It's fun to watch.
Well, the sprints national are,
Yeah.
for me for now, are the best live coverage and always exciting. And I think it's even bigger than the World Championship. So we got like 10,000 people coming during a week, and maybe around between 2,000 to 4,000 paddlers from the kids to the masters.
Wow.
Which is amazing.
A lot, man.
That's a lot.
You know, we get 2,000 and we think that's a lot here.
Right, yeah.
You know?
But I've been to Brazil, and I always thought that New Zealand had a big amount of paddlers, but actually Brazil got
nuts.
way more. Like
Really?
Tahiti and New Zealand combined, it's not even half of the Brazilian paddlers.
Really?
Oh yeah.
You
They
were
had, like-
onto it.
Dude, I've been calling it
Yeah.
for years.
I think they had
Yeah.
maybe something like 25,000 paddlers over there.
Oh my
That's how much they have. And
Can you imagine, like, it's going to be the world distance. Are you going to go to the world distance?
Well, hopefully I'm going to qualify.
Oh, I'm sure you're
when does that
qualified.
qualification come up?
It's going to be in April.
Ooh.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Yeah, for the New Zealand. So you to represent New Zealand, right?
Yep.
Or Aotearoa.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. And then, so your team, you race with Pineula?
Yeah, that's my New Zealand team, Pineula. But
Okay.
it's pretty hard because for now we pretty much only have masters. Like on the last race that we've done, we had 4 masters on the crew and only 2 open.
Yeah.
It sounds like Lanakila.
Or we trying
how it
to.
is.
Yeah.
I'm trying to bring some of the youngs with us to build a little bit the club.
Wow.
Amazing. That's so good.
So how do you form? I mean, it's obvious how you represent for the V1, but how do you formulate your 6-man team? How does that work?
What do you mean?
You
Like,
guys
so,
keep track of your training? You guys do time trials?
well, I guess. Well, sorry, my
that what you're
question.
asking?
No, my
Sorry.
question is: is it Pineula team versus A team or X team that gets to qualify
For the Worlds?
for Worlds?
No, so Tupuria is the coach for the elite team,
Okay.
open men. So we pretty much, he's already starting the trialing. So people intend to do the trials, and we have a couple races and training that paddlers need to do to be in a team. So I'm pretty much missing most of them because of all the races that I'm doing overseas.
Right.
But hopefully I'll make the team.
Yeah,
Like,
okay.
I know I can make it if I'm doing the races or the training over there. I know what level I have and I can make the team, but hopefully I make it still. Like, I know I have knowledge with all the experience that I've been with all the top team, and I can bring something to the team. And just having another vision to pretty much put paddlers on a seat or whatever, or helping the team to surf better as a steersman. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. But with the youngs coming up, I'm excited. I'm excited to see how we're gonna perform over there.
Would you say that this chapter in your paddling life does this feel like a new chapter in your paddling life, paddling in Aotearoa versus growing up in Tahiti?
Well, I used to paddle for Tahiti for years. Like last time I paddled for Tahiti was 2018 for the Sprints World Championship. We had a pretty strong team with Kevin and Hiromana and others. We pretty much broke all world records in every distance. And after that, the main problem is that you're winning world championship, but you don't get any, you're not recognized as world champion, like top athlete. And that's what I was more thinking, like. So I went back to New Zealand and I start K1, and that's my new challenge, I guess. And it's just helping me to be a better paddler.
Balance.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Okay. And then so would you want to try to take K1 to a different level, or are you just using K1 just as a training tool?
Well, for me, K1 is like another challenge, like I said. So it makes me getting better into VAA while doing K1, but VAA is also helping me to be better on a K1. So it's a pretty good thing. But yeah, I'm still doing K1. I have a lot of good paddlers that beat me at K1 training because I'm training with some of the Olympic guys. So it's good to have top level, and they're pretty much pulling me to go faster.
Is that your aspiration, Olympic level, or?
Well, I'm trying to be a top athlete anyway. So yeah, it's good to be
challenged.
Like, surround yourself by good people, and it's pretty good to surround yourself with Olympic athletes.
I know, that's why obviously. I have this guy around. Makes me feel better about myself.
Yeah.
Well, you're an Olympic level beer drinker, brother.
I am a champion.
You and Manutea Owens. I can't wait for the challenge later on.
Hopefully you're not gonna be beaten.
I know. Oh, I don't know what's going on here. Oh, we're moving.
That was when the camera moved on us.
Yeah.
But so what brought you to Aotearoa? Because you're from Tahiti, right?
I was born in New Zealand.
Okay, so
I grew up in Tahiti because my parents lived there. But on my mother's side, my grandmother has half of her family in New Zealand. So we're part of a tribe which is called Ngāti Whatua, which is based in Auckland.
Okay. Wow.
So I'm actually half Maori and half Tahitian.
That's very interesting.
That's some deep roots, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, deep roots.
That's a big chunk of Polynesia right there.
Going back to the race on Saturday, how did you choose your line off the start? Because that was something we talked about a lot. Was who's going to stay high?
Yeah.
Who's going to go straight at it? You know, how did you pick it?
Well, I checked the forecast. I went on windy. I checked the wind, and we were already out on the start line, like quite far out. And I pretty much just trying to stay on the right of Huntington Pier.
Yep.
And then when I saw the pier, I was trying to stay close. And then when I went close, I was just trying to figure out how the surf was with the backwash. And it was working pretty good because the wind wasn't strong.
That was one consideration I never took in, was backwash.
Yeah.
Well, because I'm glad he brought that up, because I did your guys' course. I went all the way to Newport Pier, and I took the same exact line, and the wind had a good amount of west in it, but there was also a good amount of swell, like surf swell, like so the backwash from the shoreline, right? And I didn't even think of that too.
And the other thing is that I knew that after an hour and a half, maybe the wind would drop. So I was like, there's no point of being out, because if the wind drops, you're not going to surf back in. So I was like, better use the wind while it's still here and go in, and then use the backwash and the little swell to kind of keep going.
Man, I was way off.
well, Manutea, so let me ask you, so when because Danny was on you, right, at the start?
Yeah.
Did you notice him stay out?
Yeah, he was going out. Like, at first, every time he was going out, and then surfing back, he was like going pretty fast. He was coming back fast on me. But I was just staying calm and stick to the plan and wait for the right moment to go left. So I was just playing more like right, left, but keeping him on my right. And then Kai came on the left, and I was like, what should I do? And I knew that Kai was like the man to beat last year. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to stay with Kai, because if he's fast, he's going to pull me. So we pretty much paddled together and push each other to go faster.
Yeah, that's what we talked about on the call, right? Yeah. It was like you guys had each other to push the pace and separate from the field. But yeah, it was.
But the pace was pretty low until we went to maybe 20 minutes after Huntington Pier. And that's the moment he started pushing a little bit more. So I had to push a little bit more, and then it slowed down again all the way to barbell up here. And that's the moment we pretty much increase a little bit the rhythm.
Yeah. Yeah, it was so fun to watch. Thank you, Kyle, for coming. Right?
I know, right? Yeah. Making it a good race.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
So you're here in California. I saw even the last time you were here, you were putting on clinics.
Yep.
How is that going? How's the?
Well, it's always good. I love to share my knowledge and teach people the right things so they can improve. Like, it's hard to learn something when you don't have a base or you don't know where to start. But if you're starting somewhere and you have a strong base, it's easier to build on top of it. Because if you're having bad habits, it's hard to correct that after 2 years because your brain just keep doing the same thing. And to break that bad habit, it's pretty hard. Mm-hmm. And I've been doing a lot of clinics, and it's pretty much the same thing for people from overseas. Is technically how to get good on that. Because that sport, you can be the strongest or the fittest, but if your technique is not there, you're not going to go fast. But you can be a weak paddler, but if your technique is good, you can go fast.
Well, if you can share a tendency that you notice from the clinics like that you give here, like the tendencies of the California paddler versus the paddlers you paddle with in Tahiti or New Zealand.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like,
or Brazil. What is in Brazil?
Well, okay, that's now you're loading the question, but what is the biggest difference that you notice in tendency, let's call it, between a California or Tahiti/New Zealand?
Well, if I had to, the difference would be pretty much the craft. Like if you watch most of the people here only paddle OC1. So they need to spend time on V1. They need to get V1s and paddle on it, feel, learn. The more they're going to spend time on the V1, the better they're going to be. And if you watch, it's harder to switch from OC1 to V1 than from V1 to OC1. Like from V1 to OC1, it's easy because you know how to paddle, you know how to steer. So you can take just one hour to paddle properly, let's say on the OC1, but from OC1 to V1, it can take 2 years to learn how to steer, especially if no one is here to teach you properly the technique.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of like skiing and snowboarding versus snowboarding to skiing.
Yeah.
Right?
I imagine similar, right?
Well, it's like, from what I hear, if you started out snowboarding, it's a little bit easier to pick up skiing versus the other way around. It's harder.
Yeah, I mean, I surfed all my life, so snowboarding was easy for me, but skiing came pretty easy after snowboarding.
Yeah.
I think the other way is pretty tough.
Yeah. Well, Manutea, do you think because the crafts, right, just looking at the OC1 versus the V1, obviously the V1's longer.
Yep.
And it requires more length in the water versus the OC1. What do you say to that kind of just simple logic?
Well, I don't think it requires more length in the water. It's mostly we don't have rudder, so it's not breaking the speed.
Okay.
The only difference is it's harder to control it when you don't know how to control it. But
so
when you know how to control it, for me, it's amazing because you're doing more things. It's not just paddle and just press the pedal.
Yeah.
It's how you're using your body, your paddle to steer your canoe, and how you use the elements. So you need to feel even more the waves, the current, the wind. And then we have different kind of construction, like the new Viper with the wood, and the feeling on it is even different.
But I will ask the question about a V1 and your level of the technique and the anticipation, understanding what the canoe is going to do before it does it. How do you communicate that to a new paddler? Like, if the it starts turning right, you're already too late, right?
Yeah.
So the anticipation takes a lot of years, I think, or technique takes a lot of years to get and understand it. What is a decent way to communicate that to somebody new to V1?
I guess there's a lot of things to know about that, like timing or pay attention of how your canoe is reacting, and pretty much know your craft, know your body, and know how your canoe is going to react on that type of wave. So it's pretty much the times that you're spending on the water and know what you're doing when you go out there. Not just, okay, I have 10 kilometers and just do 10 kilometers. No, it's not that. It's, okay, I have 10 kilometers, but what am I going to do? well, I'm going to focus on my long and feeling and how my canoe is gliding and what technique is like good for me to get a good speed without spending too much energy, for example. Or like, oh, how is my posture today? So I'm going to work on my posture. So
interesting.
It's not just doing the workout. It's doing the workout, but working something else next to it.
I think that's where we lose a lot. You know, we focus on the workout a lot.
We focus on the workout a lot. Yeah, I agree. It's very much an American, philosophy.
Grind.
Yeah. You know, just hearing Manutea, you know, not just talk about like how his approach to paddling, but just hearing his mentality in the races. I can tell you do a lot of visualization.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Right.
Like always before the race, that's why I check all the forecasts and I'm pretty much trying to visualize my race and like even in the worst case scenarios, I'm like, what happened if like I'm like my hammer is going out?
Yeah.
What am I gonna do? So when it happened,
you think ahead if something catastrophic is gonna happen.
Yeah, like what am I gonna do? So I'm not stressing too much. Like I'm gonna be stressing for sure, but I'm trying to do my best.
So do you prepare your canoe ahead of time for things like that so you don't have to think about it when you're racing?
Like
you know, let's say like the old rigging, right?
Yeah.
Or the rigging like on the new Viper.
Yeah.
Do you add an extra rubber on to one section? Like, okay, I don't want to have to think about this.
No.
No? Okay.
Just normal.
Okay.
But that does bring up a good point, right? You know, not just the paddling aspect to V1 or paddling in Tahiti, but it's just the moment, the time that you take to rig your canoe, right? It's like I always like to say, V1 paddling is very intimate, and you're connecting with your canoe, you know, by manually, you know, putting the lashings on. You're doing your checks, your once overs, and I imagine in the process, you're visualizing, right? Like, you know where you are, where you're going to race.
Other good thing is that when you're doing that, you're also putting your mana into your canoe.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's the other good thing with that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's powerful.
Well, I mean, even with us, you know, our little rec club, you know, we're very, very particular about our canoes. And you see them.
Oh, yeah.
They're always clean. I unrig them all the time. I check everything. We rig them. We put them in the water. We never set them on the ground.
Yeah.
You know, things like that, what you guys have done forever is something that we don't do a lot here because, well, I mean, it's just, you know, we're so focused on get guys on the water, okay, in and out. Next cruise going in, this and that, whatever else. There's just so much lost in that, you know, speed of trying to turn over races. So that means a lot. Yeah,
you need to relax more and enjoying.
Yeah,
that's
I agree.
The most thing is like enjoy what you're doing. Mm-hmm. If you're not enjoying, there's no point of doing it.
You know, Manutea, I gotta ask. So, what is your thoughts? What's your feelings on the sport of canoe paddling today?
Well, it's definitely growing. Like I've been to a lot of places now in the world, and I can tell it's growing a lot. Now I'm just hoping it's going to be in the Olympic Games pretty soon. Mm-hmm. That's one of my dream. I want my sports to be in the Olympics.
That's our hope too. Yeah.
Even if I'm not the athlete, I'll be able to race it. But if the next generation is able to race there and then live with doing just the sport, will be amazing.
I agree. I mean, I think we're all kind of saying the same thing, right? We've been saying it for years, and I think that's how the IVF started, the International Volleyball Federation. Sorry, off side topic. You see those waves right there? You never see waves like that in the back bay. The fact that
it's like a running joke. So that's Spider Island. We call that little island Spider Island, and we always laugh about when it's low tide and you get a big enough boat, it sets a left off of that little thing, and so. Will Reichenstein will tell you, he goes, man, we've always dreamed about setting up and surfing off that, or people taking canoes off that left anyway. So that's a side story.
It was just wild to see waves there, even though they were like 5 inches.
Yeah. So as we're wrapping up your race here, and I think we'll wrap up this section of the podcast because we got more to come, going forward. Again, congratulations on an unbelievable race.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure watching you paddle. Even the last race, I just enjoyed it so much, and I have a lot of footage I'm going to send you just so you can have.
Yeah,
now that I'm connected with you on Instagram, I'll get your email. I'll send a bunch of clips that I've got. But, it was just an unbelievable pleasure for us to watch this. And, every race we go into, we don't know what to expect. and this was a blockbuster for us, huh?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it was pure paddling excellence, and just strategy but to get inside your mentality, and just how you approach it was, I mean, to me, this is like a culmination of the whole weekend. It was just like, I'm really grateful. So thank you so much for being here
Thanks
and
to you
sharing.
guys.
Yeah. Manutea, any questions for us?
No, thank you for you guys to do the live coverage. So it's always good to be able to watch the replay, and so you're like, oh, what happened during the race? Like, I know what happened during the race in my mind, but I don't know what's happening behind me, because I was checking sometimes behind, like, where are they going? Who's on my right behind, and the distance. I was just checking that, but watching it again, it's pretty good and amazing to watch.
Were there a lot of times where you're like, man, those guys had no idea?
I was laughing a lot when I was listening to it. I was like, oh, no, that's not what I'm doing.
Who's Odell Beckham? Who's Ray Lewis?
I was checking on Google.
That's kind of the magic of what we do, is like, you just throw stuff out there and let, it sticks, and if it doesn't, it doesn't, so.
No, it's pretty amazing that you guys are doing that, because that's going to help developing the sport as well, because paddlers, if they don't have any footage from of them, they're not gonna get exciting to race. But knowing that you guys are doing a live coverage and they'll be able to watch after that, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, thank you again for coming. Look forward to seeing you next year. I hope you come out next year. I hope that we get to see the Viper Venom Wood very soon.
I hope too.
We're gonna talk about that next.
Yeah, and best of luck with the upcoming season. You're on your way to Hawaii to race Aloha Aito, and sounds like there's going to be some good competition there too. So, best of luck this year.
Thank you.
The Blue Flash. Thank you guys very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Aloha Shoots. On to the next one. Oh, wait.
Always try.
Oh, right on. Okay. Solid.